Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show that remains your portal into Africa's most potent stories. You are joined by Ashwin Mbedi. And in the show, after we talk about these headlines, we are going to be getting into some breaking news because we know that Zambia's Vice President Dr. Mutale Nalumhango was involved in a helicopter crash. And we are fortunate to have Mike Sichula, Africa Good Morning correspondent in Lusaka, Zambia, who will be delivering that update. But prior to that, let's just have a look at some of the headlines from this broadcast. DR Congo referendum dispute fuels political tensions. Ebola death toll reaches 600 as health workers protest. Uganda judiciary rejects lawyers' colonial titles directive. Zambia vote tests Hichilema's economic performance. And as we said, Mike Sichula will be joining us after the break to give us details with regards to the helicopter crash involving the Vice President of Zambia.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
Now, as we stated, Zambia's Vice President Dr. Mutale Nalumhango was involved in a helicopter crash in which she did survive. Here is Mike Sichula, Africa Good Morning correspondent in Zambia, with the details. Take it away, Mike.
Thank you very much for having me, and Africa Good Morning to our dear viewers. Yes, the Vice President Mutale Nalumhango, yesterday, Thursday, survived a helicopter crash in Nakonde district of Muchinga province. The Vice President was in the district for a working visit as well as the ongoing campaigns ahead of the 13th August 2026 general elections. So according to information availed to the media, Secretary to Cabinet Patrick Kangwa told the media that there were 8 passengers on board when the crash happened, and all the passengers survived unhurt, but they were taken to the nearest medical center for routine checkups. And from the checkups that were done, according to Mr. Kangwa, the Vice President and all the surviving personnel on board did not have any serious injuries. This crash happened 50 meters after the helicopter had taken off. The Vice President was en route to Isoka, which is not far away from Nakonde district. And the Vice President Mutale Nalumhango, when she was interviewed by the media, and also she gave an interview to explain what happened, she only had a lot of praises to the Almighty God and the professionalism and rapid response that was undertaken by emergency response when the crash happened. but she did indicate that she was ready to proceed with the programs that have been lined up in the district. Like I did say that the Vice President is on a working visit, but she's also on a campaign trail, considering that she is the running mate to President Hakainde Hichilema. So those are some of the details that have been availed, but I'm sure as we go on, investigations will be carried out to ascertain at what caused the crash. So in terms of Zambia Air Force planes crashing, this is not an isolated case. This is not an isolated case. There are a lot of cases that have happened before where Zambia Air Force planes have crashed, some due to the lifespan of the aeroplanes and the helicopters, but these details will probably have to be availed once experts investigate the cause of the crash. Thank you very much for having me. Africa, good morning.
Thank you very much, Mike, for giving us such a timely and detailed report. We are certainly grateful that the Vice President is all right. Now, we move over to the rest of our top stories. Tensions continue to rise in the Democratic Republic of Congo over plans to introduce a new constitution, with the opposition accusing President Felix Tshisekedi of using the process to pursue a third presidential term. The opposition coalition C64 postponed nationwide protests that had been scheduled to begin on July 8 after Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye, serving as African Union chair, offered mediation. Formed in May and named after Article 64 of the Constitution, the coalition includes Martin Fayulu, Moise Katumbi, Jean-Marc Kabund and Deli Sesanka, and is demanding Tshisekedi's resignation. Parliament adopted legislation in June establishing a legal framework for a referendum, while the Senate approved another measure the opposition says would remove presidential term limits. Now, staying with Congo, at least 600 people have died of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo, while confirmed infections reached 1,759, according to the government data released this week. The figures were confirmed with 51 new cases and 20 deaths recorded during the previous 24 hours at the beginning of this week. So this was from Tuesday. 2 additional illnesses reported in Kisangani were still awaiting validation and were therefore not included in the official total. One case is linked to Nia in Ituri province, where the outbreak began, while the second has no confirmed geographic connection to Kisangani. As infections continue to rise, healthcare workers in Ituri, the hardest hit region, have begun walking off the job over delayed payments. Frontline workers warned authorities they would strike unless they received payment this week. Now, Uganda's judiciary has rejected a directive issued by the Uganda Law Society instructing lawyers to stop addressing judges as my lord or my lady, and to discontinue the practice of bowing before judicial officers. The Uganda Law Society described the titles as feudal and colonial honorifics that elevate judges above citizens, and said lawyers should instead use forms of address such as Mr. Justice, Madam Justice, Mr. Judge, Madam Judge, Mr. Magistrate, or Madam Magistrate. The society also instructed advocates and litigants to stand upright and speak as free citizens, describing the reforms as part of efforts to decolonize justice and restore dignity. Judiciary spokesperson James Iremie rejected the directive, saying the Uganda Law Society had no authority to instruct judges and that courts would continue demanding established courtroom decorum. He said the judiciary is an independent arm of government and criticized the approach taken by the lawyers' body. The debate reflects wider discussions across Africa over colonial courtroom traditions. Similar conversations have previously taken place in Kenya, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Ghana. Now, I'm not trying to add to this conversation, but I'll be the first to say you could do without the wigs. Moving on. Zambia heads towards its August election with President Hakainde Hichilema seeking a second term against opposition candidate Brian Mudumbile in a contest widely viewed as a test of the government's economic record. Hichilema assumed office in 2021 after the country experienced a sovereign debt default. Since then, Zambia has recorded an economic rebound supported by high copper prices following debt restructuring. Annual inflation slowed to 6.5% in June, its lowest level in more than 8 years, while the International Monetary Fund projects economic growth of 4.3% this year compared to 3.8% last year. Despite those indicators, some households continue to struggle with the cost of living. Mudumbile argues that the government's economic achievements have not improved ordinary lives and has accused the administration of restricting opposition campaigning and suppressing political dissent, allegations Hichilema denies. A late 2025 Zambia Election Research Network survey found 55% of respondents planned to vote for Hichilema and 51% expected a free and fair election. Analysts say Hichilema benefits from incumbency, while warning the opposition should not be underestimated despite entering the campaign later. All right, those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be getting into our news videos of the week stemming from Namibia. But prior to that, it's the weather.
Decisions, today's debates, tomorrow's consequences. The agenda puts the spotlight on Namibia's most pressing issues and the people driving them. From headline makers to groundbreakers, we bring you voices and perspectives at the center of the national conversation. One story, one interview, the depth you'll not find anywhere else. That is the agenda.
Now we get into the news videos of the week stemming from Namibia. The Namibia police force in the Oshana region, together with the Ministry of Works, Transport and other stakeholders, hosted a forum at UNAM's Jose Eduardo dos Santos campus in Augetto to reactivate road safety measures in the region. This video is by Loise Shiimi.
And the reactivation of the regional road safety forum. Your presence here is a clear demonstration of your commitment to promoting road safety and protecting the lives of all road users. We sincerely appreciate your willingness to join hands in this important initiative. Road safety is a shared responsibility. The challenge we face on our roads cannot be addressed by one institution only. They require strong partnership, coordinated action, and a common vision. Today's meeting marks an important milestone in strengthening cooperation among all stakeholders so that together we can develop practical and sustainable measures to reduce road crashes, injuries, and fatalities in our region. I encourage everyone to participate actively, share your valuable knowledge and experience, and work together in the spirit of collaboration. Through our collective effort, we can build a strong and effective regional road safety forum that will contribute to safer roads and safer communities.
Now, the 2026 Chamber of Mines of Namibia Expo and Conference is set for early August. Listen to what Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Fabian Shanika, had to say about it. And this video is by Augetto Graig.
For this gathering is for us as the Chamber of Mines to formally and proudly so, I have to say, announce that the 13th Mining Expo for 2025 or 2026 is taking place next month. The exact date is the 4th to the 6th of August, and the venue hasn't changed. It's always the Windhoek Showgrounds. This event is, and it has been for a couple of years now, very proudly sponsored by our partner in the form of RMB. And typically every year we choose a theme for our expo and the conference. And this year's theme really is, I think, although internally when we had to derive it, it took a sort of a bit of time to really arrive to it, but it's one that maybe is not a surprise to anyone. It's really entitled From Dialogue to Delivery, and it's about assessing the progress that we've made in creating.
All right. Heading into our next update, which is the last from our Namibian video news stories of the week. President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah has reminded Namibian business leaders accompanying her to China that the mission must deliver tangible benefits for the country. Addressing the delegation in Beijing, she said Namibia is expected to spend about $500,000 in foreign reserves on the visit, underscoring the need for both public and private sector participants to secure meaningful partnerships. This video is contributed.
I have been saying whenever I go, I would want, before you leave Namibia, you know where you are going to focus. And when you come here, you are just focused. Finally, we owe it to the Namibian people. Some of you will say you came with your own money, which is a myth. That's not your money. You have eaten into our reserve, our foreign reserve. Am I right? That S&T, that ticket you bought with foreign currency, you are eating into our foreign reserve. And we want return from that. Can I tell you now something that you think maybe I don't know? And including myself, as we are all here, we have spent plus minus 500,000 US dollars. On our travel, on our anything, average. I asked the bank to give me average. If I'm sending this number of people to this country, what will be the average expenditure? Now, from now, 4 years down the line, I'm going to find out whether we have replaced that 500,000 US dollar. I'm going to calculate. The Bank of Namibia has a work to do. My economic advisor has work to do to see how the economy is moving and how it benefits from this mission. And then I can say I have replaced the 500,000 US dollar. My delegation has stepped from the Namibia Foreign Reserve to come to China. So please let us replace their money. Thank you very much.
All right, those have been our news videos of the week from Namibia. Keeping in mind, if you are in Namibia, do make your way to the Hakainde Stadium tomorrow as the Valvichas face the Blue Bulls. You know we love some good old sport this side. And Last night, Morocco lost to France. Not entirely sure how I feel about that, but we will say the Atlas Lions made Africa proud. But I won't say I'm disappointed in France either. As we close off the show, I'm going to leave you with our favorite agriculture economist from South Africa, Wandile Sihlobo. We follow him on X and he constantly posts updates with regards to what's happening in South Africa. And today he's talking about at the end of June 2026, the South African farmers had delivered to commercial silos about 5.5 million tons of an expected 17.3 million tons of maize harvest. Please do follow Wandile Sihlobo on X. As we from Africa Good Morning wish you a fantastic weekend.
So folks, I've said here that this is an excellent year for South Africa in terms of grain production. And if you take the staple grain maize, our production is estimated to be around 17.3 million tons. That's the biggest maize crop on record in this country. And of course, it does place the country at a position where we'll continue to export and remain with ample supplies, because remember, our annual consumption of maize is around 12 million tons. But what's interesting is that the season started super late. Right now, for example, I was just looking at the data. At the end of June, the farmers had only delivered to their commercial silos about 5.5 million tons of maize. Of course, there is some on-farm storage of maize, but it doesn't constitute ample volume of that. We should ordinarily now be seeing some decent volumes being delivered, but it tells us, again, the point that I've emphasized on various occasions, that the season is late by roughly a month and more. The thing is, at the start of it, it was raining a lot in various regions of South Africa, so it was tough for folks to start on time. But also at the end of the season, it rained for much longer than it usually is. Ordinarily, you expect that it should rain and stop somewhere around about March. But what we saw happening this time around is that it actually rained throughout all the way to mid-May. So those late rains, though, will help in the next season, because it means that we'll be going on to the next season with better soil moisture and all of that. And it will be at a time where we're also anticipating that it will be a tougher season of El Nino and. So that soil moisture will help in that. But the key point I wanted to talk about now is that it's still busy out there in the fields. By end of June, folks had only delivered to commercial silos 5.5 million tons of the 17.3 million tons that expected. But of course, there's some on-farm storage that we will see. But it does appear that there will still be a lot of work. And we anticipate that perhaps maybe in July, that is where we will see really some good activity in terms of the maize being delivered to commercial silos. And the weather remains fairly warm, and hopefully then that will aid in drying up the crop and accelerating the harvest activity. In the maize that has already been delivered, we are not hearing much concerns about the quality. And in fact, it looks like this season's quality may be better than last year's quality. That's what I'm looking at now on the data here at the office as I observe as to what's happening with regards to the deliveries of grains.